Welcome to the European Development Day Lab debate on sustainable urbanization. We'll focus our conversation today on cooperation around innovative and sustainable cities. To introduce this conversation, we'll receive opening remarks by Honorable Carla Montesi, Director for Green Deal and Digital Agenda at the Director General for International Partnership, European Commission, and by Honorable Mrs. Tembisele Nkadimeng, Mayor of Polokwane in South Africa, Chairperson of the South African Local Government Association, SALGA, and Co-President UCLG. Carla, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Secretary General. Dear Jean-Pierre, allow me to say, let me start to thank you and the UCGL Africa for organizing this debate in one of the key topics for the European Union, sustainable cities. Let's be clear, cities will be central to achieve the green transformation agenda, very ambitious, that we have for both Europe and in our partner countries. In many of our partner countries, we know that we have fast-growing urbanization. According to estimates, urban population in sub-Saharan Africa may triple by 2050. This means that the majority of the urban areas that they will exist in 2050 are not yet built. So how urban areas will be designed, will be built, will be managed, will be key for having sustainable cities in the next future. The title of the event that you have chosen keep me two comments. The first one is allow me to focus on joint cooperation. To say immediately that, of course, there is no one-fits-all solution for the challenges that the cities are facing today. Experimentation, knowledge sharing will be essential in facing effective solutions that after can be scaled up. As you know, to encourage this sharing experience, we have launched in 2018 our big program on partnership to cities, and we are very glad to see that today we have 42 partnerships between cities, between Europe and the partner countries. We now are setting up a coordination mechanism that will allow to create a community to reflect together on the lesson learned and the best practice. The second point that I would like to mention in this introduction is about innovative and sustainable cities, because we know very well that to create innovative cities, we need a large amount of investment, of green investment. And we need also technology and the digital tools to find smart, green, and affordable solutions. With our new financial instrument, the new Global Europe, I am happy to say that we will have in place new financial instrument, blended finance, and the guarantee facilities that will allow us to support, to encourage green investment for cities. Of course, in all these efforts, we see an important role to be played by the Association of Cities and by Association of Local Authorities. I stop here, and I wish all of you fruitful discussion. Over to you, Jean-Pierre.
Thank you so much, Carla, for your very insightful contribution.
Good morning. My name is Tembisele Nkadimeng, President of South African Local Government Association, SALGA in South Africa. I'm happy to join you today. We are, as SALGA, as key stakeholders, joining our efforts and cooperating around ensuring the innovative and the sustainable cities. 60 to 80% of energy that is released into our global emissions is coming through over 10,000 cities, which together occupies around 3% of the land of our world. In order for us to be able to deal with such, we need to be able to make sure that SDG 11 is realized. It wants to ensure that we make cities, human settlements inclusive, but most of all, resilient and sustainable. The new urban agenda, therefore, directs us to be sustainable as we move towards the United Nations Decade of Action, which calls upon us to invest, develop, be smart, be innovative, customize our approaches in ensuring that we share, we deliberate with the world, but amongst others, we share our experiences, knowledge, and development. Doing all this, we will need to have an enforced spirit of collectivism and cooperation. In that way, we must ensure that we leave no one behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much for setting the tone of this conversation. And you had two messages that are very clear, coming from both Madame Tatmeng and Madame Montrisi. Joint cooperation, joint forces for innovative and sustainable cities. And to do that, we should share experiences. And this is why I think it is important that in this conversation, we have two leaders of local governments, Mayor Sifiani of the city of Chefchaouen and Mayor Emil Boc of the city of Cluj-Napoca in Romania. And we were given 6 minutes each to share your experience, to give us your views and your engagement for smart, green, and sustainable cities. Mayor Sifiani, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jean-Pierre, Monsieur le maire, mesdames et messieurs. Je suis très content de participer avec vous aujourd'hui pour partager ce que nous sommes en train de faire à Chefchaouen, au Maroc, en Afrique, et aussi pour parler un peu du futur, et notamment le futur des villes. Pour nous, dans la ville de Chefchaouen, qui est une ville intermédiaire du nord du Maroc, une ville située entourée par deux parcs naturels. Donc, c'est une ville où nous avons une société civile très, très forte, très dynamique. C'est pour cela que depuis 2009, nous avons basé notre vision et nous l'avons partagée ça a été partagé avec la société civile. Et là, notre vision, c'est de faire de Chefchaouen une ville durable, une ville écologique, une ville intelligente. Et bien sûr, entre vision et réalité, bien sûr, il y a des efforts, beaucoup d'efforts à faire. Et c'est pour cela, pour nous, il fallait aménager des moyens, des ressources, et dans ce cadre-là aussi, de ne pas recréer la roue depuis le début. Donc, nous avons pensé dès le début à la coopération décentralisée, parce que nous savons qu'il y a des bonnes pratiques partout dans le monde, et nous pouvons gagner beaucoup de temps, beaucoup de ressources si nous prenons des bonnes idées et aussi nous les adaptons au contexte local. Nous aussi, en termes d'innovation, dans le cadre de ce partenariat société civile et conseil municipal, nous avons aussi innové en un certain nombre d'actions et projets. Donc, concrètement, il fallait tout d'abord passer à la planification stratégique pour concrétiser, implémenter cette vision. Et cette vision, c'est de faire de Chefchaouen une ville écologique, une ville durable. Et bien sûr, en 2015, nous avons confirmé ça avec, bien sûr, les ODD, les objectifs de développement durable, les 17, et bien sûr, l'objectif, l'ODD 17 sur le partnership. C'était pour nous important. C'est pour cela, comme j'ai dit, dans le cadre du jumelage, dans le cadre des partenariats et dans le cadre des réseaux des villes. Et là, je remercie Jean-Pierre Mbassi et CGLI Afrique pour l'appui qu'ils donnent aux villes en Afrique et bien sûr le soutien avec des villes européennes et autres villes du monde. Donc, j'ai dit, la planification stratégique, il fallait la faire. Et là, nous étions accompagnés par la coopération européenne et nous l'avons montée. Et il fallait aussi passer à l'implémentation. Il y a des sujets très importants qui sont très innovants pour les villes au Maroc. C'est le sujet, par exemple, de l'énergie durable. L'énergie durable, pour nous, c'était un axe stratégique dans le cadre de notre plan d'action climat. Et pour ça, très rapidement, je pourrais dire, et nous avons gagné des prix dans ce sens-là, nous avons implémenté le premier centre info-énergie au Maroc. C'était à Chefchaouen, nous l'avons mis en place à Chefchaouen. Et là, pour conseiller, pour divulguer, pour partager les informations et les conseils en termes d'usage de l'énergie durable, efficacité énergétique et énergie renouvelable pour les enfants, pour les écoliers, pour les adultes, pour les entreprises et bien sûr pour les décideurs administratifs. Et ça nous a amené, ça nous a facilité la tâche avec bien sûr la mise en place d'un conseil consultatif de l'énergie, climat, développement durable qui est composé des leaders locaux du secteur privé, associatif et aussi de la municipalité sur les aspects de durabilité. Et nous avons mis en place aussi ce qu'on appelle la vision 2030 pour l'implémentation des agendas globaux au niveau de la ville de Chefchaouen. Donc, j'ai dit l'énergie, donc nous sommes passés tout de suite au secteur dont nous gérons. L'éclairage public, donc nous avons fait un diagnostic exhaustif et puis nous avons commencé à remplacer les lampes classiques avec les lampes, bien sûr, économiques d'énergie. Et nous sommes maintenant à plus de 30% de ce renouvellement avec des moyens propres et nous avons continué avec des partenariats. Et aussi, nous avons mis en place, nous avons appuyé une coopérative locale des électriciens, reformés, et ils sont maintenant devenus spécialistes en installation des panneaux solaires. Et là, avec cette coopérative, nous avons maintenant quasiment les 3/4 de nos bâtiments municipaux qui sont équipés avec les panneaux photovoltaïques. Et c'est important, et avec les panneaux solaires, thermosolaires, pour le chauffage de l'eau. Et aussi, nous sommes passés aussi à tout ce qui est conception et la mise à niveau des bâtiments durables, avec l'isolation thermique, avec bien sûr l'orientation, etc. Et maintenant, tous les nouveaux projets de la municipalité, ils prennent en considération cet aspect de durabilité. Et aussi, il y a un truc très important en termes de mobilité. Nous avons commencé par le plus simple. C'est une ville où pratiquement le 1/3 de la population, il vit dans l'ancien Médina. Et là, nous l'avons rendu pratiquement piétonne. Donc, on a fait la piétonisation. Ce n'était pas facile au début, ce ne sera pas facile pour la généraliser à 100%, mais je dirais que plusieurs places qui étaient des parkings, maintenant, ils sont des beaux espaces de détente et touristique, etc., parce que nous avons interdit, bien sûr, nous avons régularisé la mobilité des véhicules et des voitures dans ce. Donc, la piétonisation, c'est important pour nous. Et aussi, je pourrais dire, en termes de valorisation du patrimoine, nous avons travaillé sur un sujet qui concerne la gastronomie locale et surtout l'agriculture, l'éco-agriculture, en utilisant bien sûr ce que nous disons du champ à la table. Et nous étions classés patrimoine immatériel de l'UNESCO, ce que nous appelons la Dieta Mediterranea. Et nous l'avons fait aussi, encore une fois, en coopération, et cette fois-ci avec 3 villes européennes de l'Espagne, Grèce et l'Italie. Donc, nous étions reconnus patrimoine immatériel de l'humanité. Dieta Méditerranée, c'est une culture de l'alimentation méditerranéenne, saine, écologique et locale. Donc, Et là, bien sûr, ça fait la promotion aussi du tourisme. Et là, sur ce sujet-là, nous avons fait la promotion, et nous continuons à le faire, de l'écotourisme. Et d'ailleurs, durant les 10 dernières années, nous avons vu, bien sûr, le développement touristique qui est fait au niveau de la ville, donc à 300% en 10 ans. Et là, les dernières années, bien sûr, avant le Covid, nous avons fait des records de 30% chaque année de taux de croissance, et ça, c'était bien sûr. Et nous avions gagné aussi beaucoup de prix dans ce sens, tels que la 6e ville les plus belles du monde. Je ne sais pas si c'est juste ou non. En tout cas, ça nous a fait beaucoup de marketing au niveau du monde entier. Et ça s'appelle notre ville la Perle Bleue parce que nous faisons une opération collective avec les associations, avec les femmes et les enfants et les associations de quartier. C'est le chaulage et la peinture avec de la chaux naturelle et de la poudre naturelle de bleu pour faire que notre ville devienne une ville bleue, une perle bleue. Donc, moi, je dirais que nous gagnons beaucoup à innover, à avoir des idées simples, à avoir des idées innovatives et à travailler en mode d'inclusivité, inclure tout le monde, y compris, bien sûr, essentiellement les femmes et les enfants aussi, et les personnes en situation de handicap aussi, dans ce développement durable de la vie. Et là, comme j'ai dit au début, c'est prévu au niveau de notre feuille, de notre stratégique, ça veut dire une feuille stratégique, qui est la vision 2030 de la vie que nous avions présentée il y a 2 ans et demi à Chefchaouen, lors de l'organisation du premier forum mondial des villes intermédiaires. Je pourrais dire aussi, CGIL Afrique nous a, dans le cadre d'une démarche de valorisation des initiatives et des bonnes pratiques, nous avions gagné le prix Afrique lors du dernier AfriCities de Marrakech, catégorie ville intermédiaire pour l'action aux initiatives climat, et là sur l'ensemble des actions que nous menons à Chefchaouen. Nous disons que ce n'est pas encore fini, je dirais même nous sommes seulement au début. Il y a beaucoup de chemin à faire. Cette décade, elle est très importante pour nous. La transformation écologique et la transformation numérique, c'est une véritable priorité. Maintenant, un grand chantier de Smart City, Human Smart City, nous travaillons sur. Nous avons bien sûr des appuis au niveau national par le gouvernement national et aussi des appuis au soutien dans le cadre de la coopération décentralisée que j'ai dit, qui nous appuie beaucoup dans plusieurs démarches. Et aussi, et ça, nous sommes confiants, nous pensons et nous croyons qu'on ne pouvons pas le faire sans implication des différents partenaires et locaux, et notamment dans le cadre d'une démocratie participative. Et nous travaillons beaucoup dans ce sens. Et d'ailleurs, que la ville de Chefchaouen, c'était une des premières villes au Maroc qui a adopté le budget participatif. Et nous continuons à le faire parce que nous croyons qu'ensemble, avec tous les actrices et les acteurs locaux, il y a un partenariat dans le cadre d'un dialogue vertical avec les différents niveaux de gouvernance. Et avec l'appui de la coopération internationale, nous pouvons implémenter l'agenda développement 2030, les ODD, et l'agenda climat au niveau local. Voilà en quelques minutes ce que je vais partager avec vous.
Merci beaucoup, Mayor Sifiani. Écoutez, vous avez mis en avant beaucoup de concepts qui méritent d'être partagés. Le conseil consultatif sur l'énergie durable, les coopératives pour l'installation des panneaux photovoltaïques, toute la conception de la durabilité dans les bâtiments, dans la mobilité, dans la valorisation du patrimoine, et tout ce que vous avez fait en écotourisme. Merci beaucoup. Je passe maintenant la parole au maire Bock de la ville de Cluj-Napoca. Maire Bock.
Bonjour à tous. Bonjour à tous. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's an honor and pleasure to be together with you. I am the mayor of Cluj-Napoca city. It's the second largest city in Romania. And if I would like to describe my city using 4 letters T. That letters would be first talents, 100,000 students. The second would be technology, to use technology to improve the quality of life of the people. Third would be tolerance, a place where everybody should feel like home. And last but not least, tolerance, because trust means have a good connection between public administration, citizens, civil society, and the business environment. Everything in some kind of eco approach, not ego system. So ecosystem, not ego system. This is the most important aspect to build up a community. When I'm answering to your question about the sustainability of our cities, my answers is focused on 3 words: green, digital, and resilient. Why green? Because it's healthy and it's bringing to our city quality of life. Why digital? Because you are innovative, and being digital, you are talking about our future jobs, because our future jobs depends on digitalization and innovation. And last but not least, resilient. And the last pandemic showed us how important it is for a city to be resilient. So what are we doing as a city to achieve this aim of being green, digital, and resilient? So let's talk first about green public transport. We have our strategy to be in 2026 with the entire public transport on green. In this very moment when we are talking, 50% of our public transport is green, with electric buses being the very city in Romania who brought the electric buses in the streets. Also trams, trolleys, and other means of electrical support. So by 2026, the entire fleet of public transport will be electrical. And even we are preparing now to build up a metro line in the city, the very first city with the metro system after the capital, Bucharest. In the same time, we are planning to have autonomous buses in order to improve, as I said, the innovation and artificial intelligence, hydrogen buses, everything connected with the innovation. Overall, we try to encourage our people to use the public transport. The era, one man, one car, it's over in the city. It's not available anymore. So even it's difficult to convince people to give up the car and to use the public transport, we are talking and implementing every day with dedication bus lines, offering the public transport more spaces, offering more public spaces to the people for bike lines, and we have the bike sharing system with 550 bikes in the city, and encouraging all kinds of sharing of public transport, because this is the future in terms of public transport. And by the way, this Friday, next Friday, we will implement for the very first time in Romania a policy called Green Friday. What does it mean, Green Friday? That the public transport is free in the city. It's another way to encourage people to use public transport and to have more healthy environment, because you can quit smoking, but the air pollution cannot be finished overnight. You have to work on long run to diminish the air pollution in the city, and the public transport is one of them. The second policy would be walkable city. 50 minutes walking distance to your park, to your grocery, to your school, to your kindergarten, in order to have by foot, not using your car. So we are constructing now the entire city, and we have a new district in the city with more of 250 hectares based on this plan. 50 minutes walkable city. Again, No more cars, but bicycles, pedestrian areas, and so on. And we brought a lot of spaces from cars, and we offered to our citizens for public spaces. And it's so difficult at the beginning, but someone have to start to change the mindset of the people. If we, the mayor, we do not do it, nobody will do it. We have to have courage and leadership. And in the end, people will be happy. Someone said, as a mayor or as a politician, you do not have to think about the next election. You have to think about next generation. And if you are thinking about the next generations, you need to think green, digital, and resilience. And I think every mayor in this world should think and act green, digital, and resilience. So walkable city. The third element would be green spaces. We plan to have by 2030, 100,000 new trees planted in the city, and to diminish with 15% the greenhouse emission in the city in order to have a climate neutral city in 2050, as the entire European Union is going to be the first European continent climate neutral by 2050. So we have 190 hectares of land now to convert in green spaces in order to encourage this green facility, as I already mentioned. I will close my intervention speaking about what the mayor from Morocco excellent mentioned about innovation. I do not have time, but the innovation is the key for the future. And we do apply the participatory budgeting process in order to offer to our citizens the capacity to decide by vote how to spend some money from their taxes using the participatory budgeting process, and at the same time to have in mind the inclusiveness of the entire policy. You are not innovative if you are not inclusive, because no one should be left behind. And this is a strong component of our city, solidarity, and work together, a place where everybody should feel like home and nobody is left behind. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, Mayor, wonderful. I'm so amazed by what is being done in your cities. And frankly, with the leadership like this, I'm confident that the city will bring the difference. And I'm confident that the future will be bright, because if you say, as you said, that thinking of close, you thinking of talent, technology, tolerance, trust, I can tell you, this resonates very well in every mayor's mindset, and you set the tone for this sustainable urbanization. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now let's listen to some testimonies of people that are partners, and I know you, Mayor Sifiani, Mayor Bok, you insisted on this partnership, and we are very happy to have testimonies of a set of partners that are working with cities, and these are Ishaka Maitumbi from UN Habitat, Andres Giffray from a member of Flemish Parliament, Greg Munro, Director of Cities Alliance, and Ms. Shirin Omondi, the European Development Day Young Leader from Kenya. Can we have these testimonies, please?
Today, Africa is fast becoming the epicenter of urbanization, and there is a growing appreciation of viewing urbanization as a force for structural transformation in Africa. At UN Habitat, we broadly see two levels of engagement, which also is articulated in our strategy for Africa up till 2023. Firstly, mobilizing investment for African structural transformation is key. This means a step change beyond the usual perception or narrative of the continent as a collection of unplanned metropolis and underdeveloped countryside. As such, there is a need to explore and expand rural-urban continuum and contribute to the development of secondary city, where I believe most of Africans currently reside in. To actually reduce spatial inequality, secondary cities really have the potential to strengthen climate action and improve urban environment resilience to conflict, disaster, disease outbreak, and climatic shock. This can also be an entry point for rural-urban linkages, a healthy rural-urban, which are seen by many actors as a fundamental tool for durable solution of displaced population and settlements in crisis. Obviously, this would mean trying to unlock local finance, integrated spatial planning, access to land, housing, basic services, enhancing on-source revenue generation, and importantly, the development and production of bankable projects that are integrated in nature. Of course, also with the involvement of various actors at several levels and scale. A second level of engagement is stimulating the debate and buy-in for sustainable urban settlements and urbanization among African heads of state. This, I believe, will promote a regional and global coalition and commitment. At UN Habitat, we also work with other partners in ensuring this is done. For example, the harmonization of rural regional monitoring framework for the new urban agenda last year with partners like ECA and African Union, strengthening good governance at national level. For example, Habitat is currently supporting the development of national housing policy in Angola, Uganda, and regional spatial plans across the 10 regions in Ethiopia, as well as South Africa with the National Urban Agenda Localization Framework. Thank you.
Dear friends, let me first thank you for the kind invitation to participate in this year edition of the European Development Days. I am Andries Griffois, member of the Flemish Parliament and of the Belgian Senate, and also member of the European Committee of the Regions. As former rapporteur on the European Green Deal, I am also a true believer on the importance of cooperating around innovative and sustainable cities at global level. The transition to climate neutrality will be achieved only by joining forces and if all levels of governments and communities are taken on board. Societal and technological progress happen in the cities. Let us not forget that while most of the emissions are generated in the cities, it is in the cities where the most ambitious actions and projects are implemented and where solutions are found. Combating climate change also means to rethink our cities completely, and the change needs to be endorsed and owned by the citizens via change in habits, lifestyle, way of working, and mobility. Cooperation programs and exchanges of experience between cities and local governments worldwide are key to promote new innovative models and step up climate action at local level. Through engaging in forms of international urban cooperation, we have the chance to forge lasting partnerships, test new solutions, and boost our cities' international profile. As Committee of the Regions, we are also working for a greater recognition of cities and regions in the EU governance system and funding mechanism. Many cities and regions are already integrating SDGs within their local plans and regional strategies. This can serve as an essential starting point for the implementation of local green deals. However, local and regional plans are seldom included in national plans, and very often resources are also directly allocated to national governments. Similarly, on a global level, we want to promote the continuous recognition and direct participation of subnational governments in the implementation of the Paris Agreement, and we call for locally determined contributions to be integrated into nationally determined contributions and under the Paris Agreement. In conclusion, I fully believe it's important we take up and maximize all the existing opportunities for cooperation to share innovative and effective solutions to tackle climate change locally, and to strengthen the role of cities in achieving the transition. The EU Green Deal could inspire similar policies and actions beyond Europe. What we probably need is a global Green Deal, which takes full acknowledgement of multi-level governance systems and differentiated responsibilities needed to protect the global commons. We cannot think about one-size-fits-all approach. We have to respect the diversity of territories, different energy mix to ensure that transition is, yes, ambitious, but also sustainable, just and affordable. Thank you.
The way urbanization is happening, we need to think about our future generations and how they will work, live, and interact in the decades to come. In the African context, which is a key focal area of Cities Alliance, we need to remember that it's a little bit different as elsewhere in the world. I mean, 2/3 of the population will live in cities by 2040. 2/3 of the economy is informal already. And 93% of all new jobs will be informal. So we need to rethink our services and livelihoods in cities in Africa slightly differently. We really need to look at partnerships to increase three things. One is to increase access to data, because many of the mayors don't know their cities, and their cities are changing rapidly with rapid urbanization. The second area is access to services. And COVID-19 has really brought us to the fore in terms of how important local service delivery is in cities and how it can withstand shocks like COVID-19. We need a green recovery post-COVID, and that is one of the EU focal areas. That recovery needs to be based on clear acknowledgement that a city is only as resilient as its basic infrastructure. And the third is access to finance. Climate financing indicates that only a minor amount of funding is allocated to cities in Africa and only a fraction to adaptation measures. So we need to think beyond the rhetoric and think of some more concrete examples of how to access funding for African cities. Cities Alliance is currently drafting its multi-year strategic plan. So we have an opportunity to renew our commitment to rapidly urbanizing cities in Africa. There are two main ways that we can support this. One is think global and act local through our multi-sectoral broad membership of Cities Alliance. We need global engagement across our membership to be grounded and informed through local realities. And we need to try and amplify stronger voices and engagement of mayors of cities of all sizes. And then the second area is around localizing modes of delivery. Time is ripe for us to rethink how development partnerships are being structured. We need to localize our modes of delivery, partnering, and delivery, and to work through local and regional intermediaries. And in that partnership and in that alignment, we really need to work with organizations such as UCLGA, the EU delegations, African Development Bank, African Union, to ensure that we are able to increase together the access to data, services, and finances. And that's for African cities of all sizes.
These are the ways in which we can make sustainable innovation ways for sustainable cities. First, we need to invest in Internet of Pipes, where we are going to be able to get clean supply of water and clean management of water that goes through to the cities. This water is going to help us when we start doing agriculture in the city, that is urban agriculture, where we will be able to practice hydroponic agriculture, be able to do kitchen gardens, and this will help us in planting perishable goods that can be used in the cities. Internet of Pipes is also going to help us in managing water supply in the cities. That is also when there will be floods, we will be able to control the floods in the city, and especially because now we are having to build more structures in the cities that sometimes end up blocking the passage of water. It will also help us in sanitation management and water flow management. Another thing that is another way of innovative way of having a sustainable city is having agriculture within the city that allows us not only to look for our food from different areas, but also get food from our city. We're also going to encourage more people to plant trees in spaces where the city has allowed us to plant trees, because these trees help us in extreme temperatures and cooling the temperatures when there are extreme temperatures, and it also helps us in capturing nutrients runoff. And this also helps us particularly in agriculture as we continue to plant different crops in our cities. I am encouraging all of us to come out and plant as many trees as we can, because trees are going to make these cities look beautiful, despite them having very beautiful buildings. At the same time, I am going to give us a challenge as we go home, and even as we continue to, build our cities, is to try and plant as many trees as the years that we have. So if you are 25 years of age, kindly plant 25 trees and more. I'm encouraging young people to come together and encourage their local leaders and different organizations to come together and, help us in building a sustainable city by looking at the innovative ways that can help us build these cities. I'm calling on all organizations and also local and national governments to come together and support initiatives that are already spearheaded by young people in ensuring that these cities are sustainable and their ideas are going to help the cities grow. I'm coming at this time to also ask our leaders and young people, because young people are technologically well equipped, then they should be able to, spearhead such conversations. And especially where I'll be stressing on is on the Internet of Pipes, because as you know, we are having more buildings coming up, and it means that most of these buildings are going to block, our sewages and most importantly, water supply into our cities. So I'm looking forward to beautiful cities with flow of clean water and production of good food. Thank you.
Well, this was amazing. It is a good testimony of what we call partnership. But before we move forward, I have a set of questions to the mayors that propose their experiences. I have 3 questions. One is, how do your city encourage cleaner sources for Scope 1 emission while tracking and regulating Scope 2 and 3 emissions? That's question number 1. Second question, what technology and programs are you found useful in facilitating a farm-to-fork approach to food security? And the third question is, how are you paying your transport driver? Is it a government funded and fixed wage per day basis? Or they say that in the Philippines, for example, drivers are struggling with income. What is the situation in your cities? So who comes first? Maybe Mayor Bock?
Very short. Transport. We do have a good public transport, and we just subsidize the public transport for pensioners, old people with a low income, and also half of the price for the students. Except the students and pensioners, you have to pay for the public transport. But as I said, green public transport is the key. First question about gas emission. We want to multiply all the absorbers in order to diminish the gas emission, like forest, green parks, green spaces, public transport being green, everything to diminish the emission of greenhouse, because it's affecting our health dramatically every day. Thank you.
Très rapidement, Jean-Pierre.
Une minute.
OK. Pour food sécurité, donc j'ai parlé de la diète méditerranéenne. Aussi, nous sommes une ville intermédiaire. Nous avons beaucoup de rapports rural, urbains. Donc, la valorisation des produits locaux, des produits terroirs et l'encouragement de l'agriculture urbaine, pour nous, c'est une action que nous menons et qui a donné déjà des résultats. 2, sur tout ce qui est green, bien sûr, j'ai parlé de l'éco-conduite. Nous avons fait de l'éco-conduite pour les conducteurs de transport public, un plan de déplacement administrative pour nos administrations, avec une optimisation de nos déplacements. Et puis, nous travaillons dans un cadre de raccourcir le circuit entre la production et la consommation. Donc, grosso modo, c'est ça.
End of our proceedings. We are very happy to have you, and thank you.
Thank you, Jean-Pierre, and thank you to all the speakers for sharing your experiences and sharing your knowledge with us. I've heard, indeed, peer learning and sharing is key. Creating a community of practice is key. And these are some of the main recommendations that we take from your great panel. Also, I've noticed that, well, what you all shared in this panel is that every context is different, every situation, every city, every community is different. So there's no one size fits all, but there are many tools, there are many experiences that can be replicated elsewhere, that we can learn from and actually, indeed, adapt and implement in other contexts. Because the tools are theirs, the methodologies are there, perhaps. We've heard talking about transport, planting trees, other great initiatives. These can all be scaled up and moved to other contexts. Thanks you again, Jean-Pierre, and all the speakers. And we'll move on with our next session. See you soon.